In this video, I'm going to show you the labcheck program. I'm on my Mac, so I'll go into Utilities and Terminal. And I want to log into the CS server. I'm going to log in using my test account, so things should look similarly to what they look like for you. Okay, now if we go and look at assignment 3, the lab assignment 3 is what I want to look at. There's lab assignment 3. So it says that I need to make a directory called notes in my home directory, put a file, two different files inside of there. So let's just see what I have right now. In my home directory, I have a directory called notes, so that should be okay. Inside of my notes directory, I have a CPU info, which is what it was asking for right here, and I have a Linux version.txt. Let's get rid of those. I'll get rid of the CPU info just to see what it shows. Okay, so now the way this lab check works is I run lab check and then the name of the assignment. And I'm always going to use, when I'm writing the lab check, I'm going to use exactly this part. So if I do lab03, it says it's checking lab03 for me, and then it says there's a problem that this file, there should be this file, and it doesn't exist. It found one problem. Okay, so the lab check for lab03, it's going and it's looking for whatever's being asked for, at least that the files are there. It's not checking that the file is the correct information, but it's at least checking that they're there. And notice that it did not complain about this file because that file is there. Now if I remove that and I run the lab check again, now it's complaining about that as well. I'm going to go ahead and put those files back here using the cp command. And of course, this is what you need to do for this one. Those files are here now. I do lab check lab03. It checked it, and it says that it looks okay. Probably. It's just checking the file names, that the file names are correct. If I go back here and let's say that I had named notes as lowercase. Now that's actually different than notes uppercase. If you're on Windows, you're used to uppercase and lowercase not mattering in file names, but on Mac and on Linux it does. This is actually wrong because the file lab03 is asking for notes. If I run lab check now, what do you think it's going to complain about? It's going to check for this directory. It doesn't exist. And then it's going to check for this file inside of this directory. Is there a CPU info file in a directory with this name? When I ask questions like this in the videos, you want to pause and think about it. So this directory doesn't exist because I did capitalization wrong. So it should complain about actually all three of these items. And it does. The notes file doesn't exist. And therefore there's also not these files inside of it. Okay, so I can change that back to be correct. Lab check lab03. Okay, the lab check also works for lab04, and I did it in this account to make sure it would check correctly. So it's going to check for a directory called files, all uppercase, a directory called about, all uppercase, a file named name.txt inside of the about directory. It's going to check for a file called lab04.txt inside of the notes directory, but it's not actually checking. The lab check is not going to check the contents. Right now it's just checking that the file's there. And then Shakespeare.txt and words. I can just show you what my directories look like. I have an about. Inside of the about there's a name.txt. Inside of files there's Shakespeare.txt and words. and inside of notes there's lab04 answers.txt, and all of those, the spelling has to be correct, the capitalization has to be correct. Okay, so in general I'll do this, that when there's a lab assignment, I'll make it so you can run the lab check. Now if you try to run it, let's just pretend that there was a Lab 05 assignment, but I haven't written the lab check for it yet, then you'll get nothing. So it doesn't say anything. If the lab check has been written for it, then it will say something. If you're correct, it'll say that it's probably correct. Alright, there's the lab check.